had a chance to review?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve?
So made. Seconded.
Okay. Motion, minutes approved.
No, specifically the minutes of
November 20th, 2024. The second one is December 2nd special meeting, 2024. Everybody all right with that?
Yes. I wanna. That's when I was here. I'll move to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Monday, December 2nd, minutes approved. Minutes for Wednesday, December 18th, 2024. Is everybody okay? Everybody read through?
Yes. Yes.
Pardon me.
I'll move approval.
Okay.
Second.
Thank you.
Oh, wait a minute. I was absent that day. Does that mean I shouldn't?
You're gonna have to.
You're gonna have to.
I'm gonna have to.
It's only the three of us.
I'm willing.
Okay.
Yes, no, that's fine.
So
I'll make the motion.
and I'll second it.
Okay. You have that? Carolyn?
Mm-hmm.
If we switch. Okay, so minutes are approved for December 18th, 2024. All right. Okay, so we are back to the discussion.
Mr. Cole, question.
Yes.
Mrs. Webb and Mr. Webb's stuff's pretty cut and dry.
Uh-huh.
This is something we're gonna have to read over and discuss. Would you be opposed to running them before the old business? Is that something we're able to do?
I have no objection.
I have no objection
Mrs. Webb can
whatsoever.
help you guys out. Okay.
Okay. That's
It,
fine.
it seems like yours is really cut and dry. There's nothing to it. We can just get you snapped out of here. I don't wanna take over your evening.
I have no
Okay.
objection at all.
So is that you gotta make a motion?
I would make a motion to handle
New
the
business
new business with the Webbs before we address the old business.
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion carried.
I can't see, I can't see you guys. It's always, aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Sorry. I was just looking, I'm like, no.
It just doesn't make any sense. All right, so we'll go to the first one, which is to combine the two parcels of ID 530-9.16-11.00 and 530-9.16-12.00 at 402 West Market, Greenwood.
As I said, everything is in order, everything has been filed. I see no reason to object to any of this. We can go ahead and move it forward to the council or have it done.
I did have a question. I fully expect and intend to support it, so I don't, but I was curious, what was the original ownership of the original alleyway? Who actually owned that?
It was a paper alley for the town.
Okay.
It was a road that was never put in.
That part I understand. Does that mean the old town owned it and now it's becoming?
It is of no use to the town anymore.
Yes.
And
Yes.
we've already absolved it.
Yeah,
We've actually,
that's already
it's
been
actually,
done, that's squared away, so it's just basically clearing up
Okay.
paperwork for
I don't know, was that considered a right of way for the town, the paper alley? Or was it town owned?
It was owned by the town, but it was just what they call paper alley.
yeah.
It really served no
For that reason,
purpose.
It's legitimate to do this.
Yeah, and the access.
But we are giving essentially X number of square feet of property away.
Yes, the council
Okay.
approved to just dissolve
Yeah, we
it.
did that for a
Mhm.
while.
And we actually effectively did that by,
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, we did it a while ago. That was actually, I think, in minutes of, we just went through.
Still, I wanted to ask, thank you.
Yeah, the access from from Second Street is gone anyway, because that part of the alley had been given to
The electric.
it's
No,
the,
it wasn't that.
No.
right now it's Mr. Coonigan's house?
Yes,
Mhm.
you're correct.
Yeah, so I mean, the town would have no access to that alley anyway.
So it serves us no purpose, that's why it's squared out.
Right.
Okay, we're good
It
then.
didn't go anywhere.
I have no further questions. I would be glad to move to accept the proposal. Is that the correct, proper term?
Make a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the approval,
Aye.
approve the proposal,
Application.
the application, thereby submitted to the council.
I second the motion to approve the application.
Ayes,
Aye.
Aye.
so carried.
All right. We good?
Yeah,
That was good.
That
That was
first one was
that
done.
one. Got one more, and then you're good. Then you're good.
All right, so we're on to the second one for minor subdivision, lot line adjustment for the parcels located at 102 North Church, 530-9.16-44.00 and 530-9.16-45.00. So we went over this, and again, I don't see any issue with it. I understand you're making the lot more appealable as a building lot.
Everything in order, all the paperwork.
Seems in order.
Yeah, everything's good, so
Well, again, I have a couple questions.
Okay.
And again, I have no intention, we have every reason to support this. I think it's a good idea. But I did have some questions, some are just curiosity questions. And I don't think anybody can probably answer here. On the application is FIRM value. And I was just curious as to anybody knows what that is. Edwin is not here, so.
Where is that?
Floodplain zone and FIRM panel.
That's the flood map, correct?
The floodplain zone would be the flood map. I don't know what the FIRM is. But if Edwin's not here to give his authoritative answer, the question would probably move.
that would
Do
be
you know what that is?
that would be something you would probably have to get Ms. Janet would have to look up.
Yeah, I have no
That's-
idea what it is.
That's just
yeah.
terminology, but as far as it has nothing to do one way or the other with the application, so at this point, it's a moot point, like you said.
The other, okay, I'll quickly go through the questions. Again, I want to approve this. I will approve it. But there are BRL lines on the print, on the site works, on the site print. BRL 10 feet, BRL 10 feet on the north side. These lines here, which I would think would be setbacks. When
Yeah,
they're
there
10
is,
feet.
this is a sidewalk here,
Yeah.
so that's a,
What, do you know why they're called BRL? Why aren't they called setbacks? Setback lines.
That would be an engineer. I really don't
Yeah,
know.
but the thing is, I can tell you what this is. That is a 10-foot setback because of the commercial. This is actually downtown commercial zone,
Oh, that's why it's so small.
and the setback in downtown commercial is 10 feet from the street.
Ms. Janet, quick question. Would there be any way you could have an engineer come in and sit with the planning commission and explain some of these terms as we get new members coming in, because it would make this process a bit easier?
Sure, you would just
Or
have
at
to.
least get us like a word key to where all their abbreviations are understood. I think that would make this a lot easier.
Sure, I mean, you would just have, you don't mean this engineer, you just mean our engineer?
Just an
And
engineer in
engineer.
general. Any
Okay,
engineer who's willing to give us a word key to where we understand what their abbreviations mean
okay.
for new members and members that have questions.
Yes, sir.
But I
The
do know
firm
because-
panel, firm stands for flood insurance rate map.
Oh, okay, so the insurance map, okay.
And BRL stands for Building Restriction Lines.
Thank you.
Building
That's
restriction
your
line.
setback
Thank you.
line.
Thank
I
you.
greatly appreciate it.
I didn't want to pull out my phone and start looking, but, okay, but I do know, because we just talked about that the setback for that particular property is 10 feet
10 feet.
because of the zoning.
I was curious as to why there's two maps. I see the I looked for the differences, I did finally find a couple. One is the change in owner certification, instead of 2 people, there's 1, and the date is different. Is there any comment from you guys on?
That's it, just took my name off.
Okay,
So,
I don't know why they included
Makes
the
sense.
first one, but okay.
yeah.
All right, this is the only question that might have some bearing, but how much, okay, now I see. How large a building can you put on that then? The side setbacks are not on here.
As a downtown commercial lot, the side setbacks are 0?
Yes.
Yes. And then, 20 feet from the rear.
25.
25.
Okay, so
25.
this whole thing
Could
is the
potentially be built.
legal
Yes,
size because it's downtown commercial.
yes. So that's why this line is here in the back. This continues this way, but this is the back of that property, so it's 25 feet off the back, 10 feet off the front.
And
0
0
on
off
the
the back
sides.
for this one.
Yes. Yeah, 'cause
I
these
don't
are
feel-
considered sides, so they're 0.
Yeah.
So that's.
Oh, yes. Okay,
But as it was a very skinny.
yes. And that's why I want to
Yeah.
support it, because it gets to, we want to support the possibility of the building.
So do we have a motion to approve the application?
I would
as
make
submitted?
a motion to approve the application for submission.
And I will second it.
Okay, so carried.
Thank you for taking the time to answer my question.
I really think that word is gonna help. This isn't gonna be the only time that we.
Yeah, we've run into that before where,
Yes.
and some engineers might use some slightly different terms. That, like, I've not
Yeah.
seen that BRL, it's always been
The
a,
webs are good.
yes, they are good.
How
to
good?
go.
Where will all this be recorded?
That would be Ms. Todd, Ms. Carolyn.
We'll send it to the attorney tomorrow, so we'll tell him to record it right away, because you're anxious to get started right on the building. Yep, we'll turn it over to him tomorrow.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a great evening.
Right.
And what we can do in the future is any engineer make it a requirement to put a key on there.
That's
That's
fantastic.
even better. That's even better. Because, I mean,
And that's something you could whip off beforehand and have it just before.
Right, because each engineer uses different codes, so that way we don't, if we just had a generic, we'll just make it a requirement, any plan submitted have a code on
any
them.
abbreviations
Yep.
need to be in the legend.
Sure.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, in the legend, I think it'd be valid to have a second sheet.
Well, there's a legend already built into the sheet.
Yeah.
And we can just ask that any abbreviations like that.
Yes.
That they put what it is.
POV. That one I happen to know.
It would just,
And
it
they
would
put-
make more sense
Yeah.
for, like I said, I'm gonna be replaced. You're gonna have to find some, you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying, but like, that new person, it would help them along.
And it helps Carolyn and I as well, because there are
Correct.
things we don't know, obviously.
Correct, yeah.
So it would be a help, so we'll just make that a requirement from the engineers.
Correct. I feel like that's a good way to go about it.
We good?
All right, Mr. Chair, where are we at
All
now?
right, so now we're gonna go back to old business. Discussion of the ordinance 2023-01, amending ordinance A1 to prohibit the operation of marijuana cultivation facilities, marijuana product manufacturing facilities, marijuana test facilities, and marijuana retail stores. So with what we went through already, this is what Janet has written up, and the attorney's already had a review of it? Okay. So we need to read through this, give me a few minutes. Particularly, it's the main paragraph, which is what we changed.
Correct.
The other parts are standard. question I have is, we have 1,500 feet.
Yeah, that was from the
That's
minutes from the
500
last,
yards.
right?
Okay.
Yeah,
that's
that
fine.
came from your last meeting.
Yeah, that was 500 yards, that's what we agreed to.
And that's what was suggested during the meeting, that's where that came from.
Yes, sir.
I remember
Okay.
that.
I knew that we had gone above the standard.
Correct. We went above the standard because of the issue with the elementary school out on the highway.
Yeah.
And we also went above the standard because of the church at the other end.
Okay, and students use the fire department lot.
Well, that's neither here nor
Yeah,
there.
that's students in that.
I agree, but you also have to think, we're talking from the point of a building. Like, if you're gonna get the semantics like that, you're getting in dangerous territory.
The catch on that is, 1,500 feet is quite a bit, and may completely preclude all, in our particular case, all of the highway commercial district.
Do you have a suggestion, Mr. Kirk, as to, like, would you say 750 feet, 1,000, like?
Well,
If you permit me to use my phone for a second,
yeah.
I'll find where to put it.
Well, I think, and you suggested, so I'll go ahead and ask you, what was your purpose in putting 1,500 feet?
Because we have ECEC out on the highway itself, okay? You have the Agape Temple, which is a church. There is another church on that Royal Farms property as well. 1,500 feet would exclude them from being able to get near those churches and that school. It puts them in a very specific area. The town of Greenwood is essentially landlocked. So if we're gonna expand, we're gonna have to go north and south. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Which means any businesses, any land that gets annexed into town going north and south, at that point would be available. 1,500 feet seemed a bit steep, but that was what we were willing to discuss. Personally, I think 1,000 feet, which is about 200 yards-ish, you know what I mean? No. 300 yards and some change.
Yeah.
300.3 yards. You know, like that's where you're at. That's 3 football fields. That seems really reasonable to me. 1,500 feet puts them way outside of town. But again, we're trying to think of how the church is going to be affected by this. How's the school going to be affected? Because realistically, if anybody were to put any kind of business up, that back corner behind Dollar General would probably be about the only spot.
Yeah. Yeah, and my point is not so much to support one way or the other,
Correct.
but for us to be informed about the results of what we're putting in there.
Correct.
So I'm looking
It's
at
a matter
right
of
now.
being fair.
I've pulled up satellite image and I've scaled it to about 1,000 feet per inch. And right now, 1,000 feet from the school would open up the back of Schultz, but we have Radiant Church right there. So that pushes it over. The back side of Royal Farms would be the only available area there.
That's not what you're
The Agape
Sure.
Temple.
Right, yeah, like out there. Yeah, I'm sorry. But then we have, I don't want to change the scale, but it's right there.
Right.
And there's also a daycare center right there.
The baker's actually awesome.
But that gives, of course, this is all about to be developed, so that takes that out.
Correct.
So really, essentially, in our highway commercial district, the only available space is what's right behind Royal Farms and Old Ditch.
Correct.
That,
And that yardage puts that opportunity right there in that section.
yeah. And I mean, it's that lot.
If they're approached, they may sell.
So that's
You
it.
never know.
That's
Yeah.
at 1,000 feet. If I push it up to, if we go up to 1,500, that's gonna,
It's
it
gonna
is
push-
going to eliminate all our highway district.
Okay, then we can't go that far because then it looks like we're being obtuse and essentially trying to push them out. And I don't want that to be the image of the town because at that point, again, like I said before, we will be cutting out a business opportunity for the town to collect taxes and water bill and everything else, and that's not what we're looking for.
So, can I suggest 750?
I think that's fair.
That would give the back of Royal Farms, part of the back of Schultz, along the side of Royal Farms, that would give 3 viable areas on that end, and it would open up a little bit. There's that stretch in front of Duck Creek where there's, that's all highway commercial, and
Right.
they haven't done business there in years. It was the old developer.
Yeah.
Like
that.
Deco, I can't remember the name of it. The guy that.
Distinct homes.
Yes, that's it.
At 750 feet, it still leaves availability
That,
along the
that,
highway
that lives,
corridor.
leaves 3 or 4
And it
spots.
keeps the center of town clean.
Yeah. And this is just the retail part.
Yes, that is just the
Besides
retail.
that, this has to go through, has to be an act of the town council.
Right, we are making
Their
a
own-
recommendation.
Yeah, and in
Correct.
fact, frankly, to the town council, I think it's a good idea to go with something other than 1,500, because we want to, they may reject our changes,
Right.
but I still want them to look at the planning commission as reasonable, and
I would say, to this Todd, that we'll drop this down to 750.
motion.
I would make a motion that we drop this down to, sorry, I'm working it out in my
No,
head.
no, you're
Put that
fine.
into the approval.
Yes.
Yes, to
We'll
750
drop
feet.
750 feet. Mr. Kirk seems okay with that, I'm
Yeah.
okay with that.
That still leaves
It
some
leaves it.
properties available, keeps it away from what we want it kept away from.
Yes, it leaves an opportunity for a business to flourish and us to be able to collect an income off that business for tax and whatnot without endangering our churchgoers or what, or messing with kids or anything like that. We're good.
All right, now, the only other part of this, because this doesn't just include the retail, that 750 is for any marijuana facility. So we also have to look at our industrial areas for manufacturing.
Most of the industrial areas,
Sorry, I'm using my phone for the map.
So are we putting that motion on hold right now? Okay,
Yeah,
We're
okay.
gonna tie it all in.
We're gonna
Okay,
tie it all
all right,
in, just-
gotcha.
All right, so
Try to work
I'm
through
looking
it.
down Mill Street.
this is why I kind of wanted to get the webs situated before we do
Absolutely.
anything else.
Yep.
The current establishments down Church and Snyder, everything back there, that is far away from everything except for the library. Does that count?
Count as what?
For churches, schools?
I wouldn't.
It's
I
up to
wouldn't
you
think
guys.
so.
I don't think so.
It's not a they don't run daycare there at all.
Right.
Okay, so
It doesn't fall under the current wording, no, but
Then
if,
we're-
yeah,
all right, well, then we're
if
fine.
you wanted to
Fine.
add that, be up
So
to you.
all of that area back there is fine, and then we go down the other end of. Do we have one of our zone maps ready, or is it just attached to the wall in there?
It's attached to the wall. You can pull it up on the town website if
Can we
you,
adjourn to go over there? Adjourn, or not, maybe adjourn isn't the right word, but.
oh, wait a minute, looks like Carolyn has one hand.
Do we have one?
Well, you would be a saint if you had.
Uh-huh. 'Cause I think there's, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head where the other. Because new process is outside of town. I
Correct.
know they get town services, but they're outside of town.
Yes, they're technically outside of town right now.
Yeah, the ditch is the
Yes.
line. Just curious as to what other areas the other facilities would pop up in to make sure that they're not going to be
Correct.
Mr. Phillips, you do have a comment on Facebook. Resident Mr. Pucci would like to relay to you 750 sounds about right.
Well, thank
Thank you, Mr. Pucci.
We appreciate your comment.
Mhm.
Just wait a minute for Carol. She's got a map in her hand.
You are all right.
Thank you very much.
Okay. All right.
Wow, this is pretty helpful.
You are on it. All right. So, that is manufacturing and industrial center, which is, okay, it's all the Thompson area and down there at the end of,
Yes.
sorry about the name of it, Second Street where it hits the loop.
Yeah, I know where you're
Yeah, I can't remember, Draper, that's it.
Yeah.
So that is the only manufacturing and industrial land we have on the map, and that is not affected by the 750.
No, not currently.
Okay. So, I think we're okay with that.
Yeah, I'm just digesting this.
I know, so I'm reading through the list again. All right, and everything else is, it's fine, density. What's the green? Oh, that's just open space. Yes. All right, so, we need a motion to approve with the 750-foot adjustment.
Make a motion to approve the 750-foot adjustment.
Second that motion?
And then,
Yeah, aye.
oh, sorry.
Aye.
So made. And then, for the ordinance itself, we need a motion to make the recommendation to Capital Council of Ordinance 2023-01.
Motion made.
And I will second that.
Ayes?
Aye.
Aye.
So passed. And I'm glad to get that off our table. Yeah. I need another motion.
That's all of the agenda we had on here tonight.
Correct. So I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Can you second that, Mr. Wessel?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Thank you very much. Ayes?
Aye.
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 Aye. And adjourn at 6:29. Thank you, gentlemen.
Now, I'm gonna have some
I'm trying to make it clear.